Before we hop into today's video, make sure to import the deck list in the description below and title the deck "The Way is Open" if you are interested in 5,000 experience as well as a free card sleeve. Hey everybody, it's GoblitX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Murders at Karlov Manor. Without further ado, let's grab our pack one, pick one. We've got an Urgent Necropsy here, which is going to be 2, a black and a green for an instance as an additional cost to cast a spell. Collect evidence X, where X is the total mana value of permanent spells, permanents that this spell targets, and you destroy up to 1 artifact, creature, enchantment, and planeswalker with it. So you can get a 2 or even 3 for 1 with this card pretty consistently, as long as you have some evidence in your graveyard. Plays super, super well, and it is definitely the funnest pick in the pack. Probably the best one. I could see an argument for hard-hitting question. It's just really, really cheap, really efficient removal. But there's not much when it comes to like threats in this pack. It's just some great interaction for the most part. All right, well, we have a place to be. We have a deck to go for here with a pack 1, pick 2, second copy of Urgent Necropsy. We're going to go ahead and try to do the green-blue self-mill collect evidence kind of deck here and see how well that works for us. Yeah, let's just grab the second copy, move on from there. Pick number 3. There's honestly no great follow-up to double Necropsy. There's some Mortipedes. Well, there's a Mortipede, but I don't think this card's that great. It's pretty good when you do trigger it, which you have to do with like collecting evidence or returning stuff from grave. But like even starting double Necropsy, I just don't think this card's that consistent. I mean, there's nothing good for aggro, like red-white aggro stuff. There's nothing good for blue-white. There's like nothing for anybody here for the most part. I guess we just take Undercity Eliminator, which is good if we have expendable artifacts and creatures. So we want to have stuff that can make some clue tokens or just some 1/1 creatures, stuff like that, to sacrifice to use this as removal. But that's just a pretty bad pack all around. Best card was probably just like the red-green uncommon for red-green disguise decks. All about dumping a bunch of face downs on the board. Alright, well, I mean, our color pair is looking good with a pack 1, pick 4, Crawl Whipcracker now. 2 mana for a 3/2 reach that destroys a token an opponent controls when it hits the board, so it's actually pretty good in this format when a lot of the best decks are white-based aggro decks. The reason white is so good in this format is because it has so much great token production, so it can investigate a lot with clue tokens that you can blow up with this, or they can make a lot of 2/2 tokens or 1/1 tokens. Dog Walker makes 1/1 dogs. The 3 mana 1/1, I forget what it's called, makes a 2/2 when it hits the board. A lot of stuff like that, so killing any of those with Whipcracker is great. So we'll take that over Unscrupulous Agent, which would also be good in this deck, because it's very good with the Undercity Eliminator, giving us a really expendable creature to sacrifice. Pick number 5, we could try to go all in with Insidious Roots. The problem is if you draw this card at the wrong time, it does absolutely nothing, and if you don't draw the right cards to work with it, it does absolutely nothing. It's just way too finicky, I think, for a format like this where you can just get absolutely rolled by white and red decks trying to toy around with this thing. I mean, there's not much else here. It's like Bite Down on Crime or Slice from the Shadows, so some fine removal spells, but we already have 3 removal spells and a creature that removes a token, so I guess I could try, but really, really think this card is a liability more often than it is anything good. Pick 6, well, another Whipcracker is definitely not a liability. It's a 2 mana 3/2 reach at worst, and when it does destroy a token, it is fantastic, so we'll just take another copy of that. Green-black is clearly open here, so pretty happy to be in the color pair. Pick number 7, Double Murder and Unscrupulous Agent. Again, we have 2 Necropsy and Undercity Eliminator and 2 token killers, so I don't think we need to take removal massively highly here. We might actually be able to just take Agent over these murders here. I honestly think that might be a little better, synergistically speaking here. Oh my god, pick 8, Crawl Whipcracker. And yeah, black is wide open, so we'll get plenty of murders late, and I don't think you can just run a ton of 1/1 removal in our deck. We had a deck kind of similar. There was just a bunch of 1/1 removal before, and it got just completely crushed because there's just too many cards in the set that investigate when they hit the board, or draw you a card when they hit the board, or make a token when they hit the board that Playing a bunch of 1-for-1 removal can be a liability where you end up down in cards in the long run, just fall behind. So I do much prefer like Urgent Necropsy that can actually 2-for-1, or Undercity Eliminator can 2-for-1, stuff like that. But I will still absolutely run 1 or 2 copies of Murder. I'm just not going to take it super highly here when it looks like we'll get them whenever we want them. Pick 9, I guess I'll take They Went That Way, or They Went This Way, so that we can splash stuff in if we want. So we've got 4 creatures right now towards getting a high creature count to try to collect out of our graveyard for Insidious Roots. I still don't know if that's going to end up doing stuff for us. We'll really see how this deck ends up looking by the end of the draft. It's an easy Night Drinker. Just play it face down, flip it up as a flyer later. Get in for damage without shooting yourself. Slime Against Humanity is completely unplayable, so take a Concealed Weapon. Take a Pick Your Poison that I will hope not to main deck. I think with double Necropsy, I don't think we need main deck Artifact Enchantment removal like that. In pack 2, pick 1, we get the great value play of Loxodon Eavesdropper. It's a pretty solid pick. We could... I don't like They Went This Way this much as fixing, so I'd like to find other green fixing, but we could splash in Enlisted Worm pretty easily. That's a phenomenal 2-for-1. For 6 mana, you get a 5/5, and you cast the next spell out of your deck for free. It could be basically any mana value. If it's a 5 mana value card, you're casting it for free, so we could hit this and then cascade into Necropsy or Maroi or Eliminator or something big. Could also just hit a 2-drop, but that'd still be good. 6 mana for 5/5 and a 3/2 Whipcracker. It's also great. So I like Enlisted Worm enough to try to splash that mainly. Potentially even over the Gatekeeper, which is also splashable. Yeah, I mean, it's solid removal. You do give your opponent a 2/2 for whatever you exile. I just really like Alara Reborn cards, so I'm probably overvaluing Enlisted Worm, but I think this is actually pretty comparable in power level to the other white card that we might try to splash in there. Pack 2, pick 2. Continue on with splashing white with Makeshift Binding, one of the best removal spells in the set. Actually quite a bit better than Murder, because it fully exiles and you gain life when you play it. Even though it is sorcery speed. I don't know if we need to be splashing for removal, though, in black-green. But, I mean, what are we playing? Main deck here, really. I don't think we're going to have great creatures for Bite Down on Crime. Just don't like Hedge Whisperer too much. Yeah, I don't really like anything in this pack except the Makeshift Binding, but we don't really need to splash it in, so it's kind of a weird one. Pick number 3. There's another Murder. There's a Vengeful Creeper, which is pretty solid to flip up later for main deck Artifact Enchantment removal. It's the Hedge Whisperer, which can give you 5/5 lands later. Card's fine. I like Vengeful Creeper a little better, though. We'll take that. Nice finisher. Pick number 4. I think we are a good deck for Fester Leech to fill our graveyard with evidence to collect, so I like that. We could also take the Topiary Panther to help splash in the white if we do go for the Enlisted Worm Makeshift Binding splash. But I'm pretty happy with the Fester Leech here towards the high creature count, self-mill sort of collect evidence strategy. Pick 5. Audience with Tristani. Create a 0/1 plant, then draw cards equal to the number of differently named creature tokens you control. There's 1. I think that's our only creature token producer right now. Yeah, that's like a green-white card. White can make dog tokens and 2/2 tokens. I guess, well, that's also a plant token. Never mind. I was going to say, I guess we have Insidious Roots to make a token, but that will be the same kind of token, so we'll still just draw 1 card. Yeah, it'll just be Loxodon Eavesdropper here. Very solid value. 4 mana, 3/3 that investigates to draw us another card. Pick number 6. I mean, we've got the 1,000,000 mana to flip up Disguise card, or we have the Polygraph Orb, which is real slow and dirtily, but pretty fun, potentially, with Insidious Roots to collect evidence every single turn. It's a repeatable way to collect evidence out of your graveyard, so maybe we're interested in Orb. Pick 7, Slice from the Shadows is fine. One of the few 3 mana ways to deal with a disguised card. Case of Shattered Pact might be fun, but I like our just pure green-black deck here, rather than trying to do all 5 colors. This pack's almost nothing. We'll take another piece of mediocre fixing. Okay, really happy to take another Eavesdropper. Great card, one of green's best commons for sure. Just as a value play. Just creatures that investigate when they hit the board are just good cards. So we're just like a Golgari mid-range, just grind it out kind of deck. Maybe if the creature count stays high enough, we can go for the Insidious Roots Polygraph Orb kind of combo. Jam out a bunch of plants, but it is probably more dirtily than it's worth it. 10. Play a Hedge Whisperer here. It's another repeatable way to collect evidence. Now we do get a murder. Pretty happy with my choices of passing up on all those earlier. Find plenty late. I've got Murder, Double Necropsy, Slice from the Shadows, and Undercity Eliminator. 3 Whipcracker for killing 2/2 tokens. I want to just play against like red-white aggro every time. And I want them to curve out with the 3-mana 1/1 that spits out a 2/2. I just want to keep whip-cracking everything. Could be real fun. Alright, pack 3, pick 1 has basically nothing for us. This mythic is not splashable, double red. I guess Crocodile is better than the green-black disguise card, this Scoundrel here. Yeah, kind of a complete miss for pack 3. Kind of a bummer. Where did my Crocodile go? Oh, it's way over here. Put that at 3 mana. Disguise card. Pack 3, pick 2. Another Night Drinker Moroi. I actually like Extractive Confession quite a bit as cheap removal. Tragic Slip's also probably pretty good. Nice little morbid removal spell. It's only 1 mana, but you do need a creature to have died to really use it. Really cool artwork, too. That's super neat. They gave it a full art and everything. That is spicy. I think I just take an Extracted Confession here for cheap removal. Keep things under control with this deck for the most part. Now here's a Leering Onlooker, fine flyer to keep pinging with, and once it dies, we replace it with 2 more 1/1 flyers to try to go to town. Ezram is a completely busted card, but it's also double white, double blue, so the only person who gets this card is the one blue-white drafter at the table, and they're going to be so happy because they're going to get it like pick 4 or 5, which is absurd. But it's so color restrictive that you can wheel it, because nobody else can play it, requiring double white, double blue. Ooh, great white cards here. Karlov Watchdog still running around. We'll take Soul Enervation, I think. We are collecting some evidence to get the life drain out of this, and just 4 mana, -4/-4 is fine, so sure. Pack 3, pick number 5. There is nothing here. I want my opponents to play Inside Sources. That was the name of it, because our Whip Crackers are so good against them. Neighborhood Guardian is a really gross card because of the curves of this into the Inside Source of the Dog Walker that makes multiple creatures and just gets so much damage. Yeah, there's nothing for us here unless we just splash in a Fairy Snoop. I don't think I will, but might as well have the option. Another Extract a Confession. Perfectly reasonable. Ooh, Nyx Weaver? Is that actually perfect? I feel like it's actually perfect. I mean, we might mill out. Mill 2 cards a turn, that's a problem. When we get to the late game. Whatever. If I mill out, I'm going to take that as a victory. If I lose to milling myself out, I'm going to be like, alright, well, we won the moral game. We went off. We popped off with Nyx Weaver. Now, this card is just nice when you have graveyard value plays. Like, collect evidence, and we've got a lot of evidence to collect. We're actually at the point where Rot Farm Mortipede's probably okay. Not great, but okay. I think I'm just going pure green-black graveyard. Stupid stuff. Green-black graveyard nonsense. I don't know, the deck idea seems pretty good. But might just get run over without a great curve. We'll see. Our mana curve is reasonable for blocking more aggressive decks. That's 5 2-mana creatures, 2 1-mana creatures, plenty of removal. Probably just cut like 2 removal spells and go for it, like cut a slice. We have the Polygraph Orb and the Hedge Whisperer, so I'm going to make a bad decision here, and I'm going to try Insidious Roots. And then it's going to suck, and then I'm never going to try it again. But at least I'll be able to have said I tried it one time. So, I mean, this is probably pretty close to what you're supposed to do with Insidious Roots. Because we have 2 repeatable ways to collect evidence. So if we get the Whisper or the Polygraph Orb on board, we can collect evidence every turn to try to trigger the roots. We have 15 creatures in the deck to have enough creatures that there are creatures in our grave to remove from our grave. And we have non-repeatable collect evidence cards as well, so even if we don't draw the repeatable ones, we have Urgent Necropsy, we have Extracted Confessions, so we've got other evidence to collect. So I imagine this is Insidious Roots' home. I just think even here it's not going to be great. So we need to leave this creature count nice and high. Maybe I could cut 1 if I really want to. But I think I want to keep this creature count at like 15 for as many creatures to go with the roots as possible. If I were strictly trying to win today, I would probably cut maybe Soul Enervation and Insidious Roots, because those are the most combo-y, finicky cards that really need the right cards alongside them. We have to draw like perfectly there. But I think instead, we're going to try out the fun stuff. We're going to play these 2, and we'll probably cut maybe Assassin's Trophy Slice from the Shadows here. Assassin's Trophy, because we never want to play this early, because then our opponent is getting some good value being able to ramp up with their card. And once we are later in the game where we would want to use this on target permanents, our Necropsies are like just as flexible in being able to kill artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker cards, so basically any permanent our opponent controls. And these don't have the giving our opponent a land downside later in the game. The downside here is that we have to have filled our graveyard a bit, but I think we can do that. So yeah, maybe these 2 as the cuts. Yeah, once again, realistically speaking, playing the best build in this deck probably involves cutting like Polygraph Orb and Roots instead of these 2. But let's try some of the new hotness. Let's try finicking around, dirtling around with this stuff and see if we can get anything going with it. We'll drop these 2, and we're definitely not playing Islands, Crocodile. Quit trying to sneak islands into the deck. And there we go. There's the mana base, and we will call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at the final deck list for today. We're on a Golgari Collect Evidence pile, so a nice little mid-rangey pile with plenty of just grindy value. Tons of 1-for-1 removal to keep us alive, as well as some 2-for-1 removal with these Urgent Necropsies potentially, and a bunch of 2-for-1 creature spells to try to pull ahead over the course of the game. Cards like Eavesdropper, that's a creature plus we draw a card. Crocodile could give us an endless supply of clues if we can keep hitting our opponent. These Whip Crackers manage to hit the board as 2-mana 3/2s to trade into something and clear out like a 2/2 token on our opponent's board, or one of their clue tokens or something like that. So just a nice, grindy, graveyard value kind of deck that is going deep on a couple cards I don't think are going to be very good, but we'll see if we can get them to pop off together. This will be the one time I really give them a shot, and that is Insidious Roots here, so that whenever 1 or more creatures leave our graveyard, we get a 0/1 plant, then put a counter on all of them, and Polygraph Orb to be able to consistently collect evidence every single turn to trigger the potential Insidious Roots. So we've got a decent creature count. We've got Self-Mill between Nyx Weaver and Fester Leech, as well as just being a deck that wants to trade off pretty aggressively to keep ourselves alive. So we should be able to fill our graveyard pretty decently as long as we can collect evidence multiple times to have our creatures leaving our graveyard for the Insidious Roots. So we'll see how it works. I don't think it's going to be very good, but we've got to try it at least once. So that's the one kind of the one thing about this deck I'm not super confident in. I think most of the creatures are pretty great. Most of these spells are excellent, but We'll see. We'll see how it all plays together as we head into the gameplay and see how it does. All right, here we are for game 1 on the play. I mean, Eliminator's a really late game play. Unscrupulous Agent doesn't need to be played turn 2, nor does Whipcracker. Might keep here. We've got 8 swamps in the deck. And most of these cards are somewhat interactive. We want to wait for them to have a token to play the Cracker anyway, and we can still play a 3-mana 2/2. I don't love this hand. It's really close to a mulligan, but I think I am going to do a little bit of sitting and waiting, hoping for a swamp. Most awkward part is needing the double swamp towards the Undercity Eliminator. That's a problem. Get rewarded. Insta swamp. I'm going to play the Agent before the Whipcracker. See if we can get the token destruction value. And they did exile a plane, so it is somewhat likely in blue-white for them to be making some detective tokens. So now we get to curve out with Agent into our face-down disguise card and then start playing Whipcrackers. And maybe actually killing tokens with them, which should be good to get us ahead in the long game. Which is kind of what our deck's about. Like, I could try to just play the full aggro here and just play a 3-power creature turn 2, but it's a little late for that now. Alright, that's not a token. But now I can just extract the Confession instead of playing a Whipcracker, which I think is perfectly fine. We are killing a Technician. Oh, that would have given me a Whipcracker target. RIP. 4 mana for our opponent now. Another face down. Ooh, Nyx Weaver. Solid option, solid option. I mean, land 5 certainly would have been better. Then we could send our Crocodile in and just eat the 2/2 if they blocked, but I think Nyx Weaver's also just good here. Let's just play that. I was tempted to still attack with the 2/2 because they just, like, might not block. No! My Nyx Weaver's tapped. So exiles from graveyard? No, it exiles from the board. Dang. Exiled from graveyard would be really good. Alright, luckily these Whipcrackers can block the flyers. Alright, mill 2, hit a murder and some other thingy. We find the Undercity Eliminator. It's kind of good here. I will cast that post-combat if they don't block. If they do block, I'll just flip. They didn't block, so we'll play the Eliminator and we'll get rid of the Flying Vigilant card. Because the Nyx Weaver can stop the Sprite all game long, as long as it doesn't mill us out. Ooh, okay, can't stop the 4/3 flyer, but our 3/2 reaches can trade into that. Actually, no, because they get the Thinking Cap, make it a 5 toughness card. Can even put the cap onto the Sprite. Since they got to put both on the board, the glass gives them the mana for the cap. Okay, that's sick, actually. Best agency outfitter I've seen so far. They still don't have a token. Where are your tokens? Okay, well, at least we get to attack in, go for a race a bit here. Hold up, this is instant speed. I should have looked at my 3-mana less cards in grave. I could pick up a murder. I actually won't afford that. I could pick up Extract the Confession, and I would afford to do that. Is it better to extract a Confession or hit them for 8 right now? I'm taking 7 damage on the Crackback if I hit them for 8, but I'm also putting them to 6 life if I hit them here. This is a hard choice. I'm going to go for the full race and put them to 6. It's going to be a close game, whichever way it goes. These life totals are getting low. I'm going to go to 7 if they attack all. Yep. They're at 6 here. 5 mana up. Imagine I don't block when I can have 3 reach blockers next turn if I really need to. Okay. They are very dead to Urgent Necropsy. Let's go for it. I kill 2 3 mana value worth of cards. Kill the Phantom and the Thinking Cap. Yeah. Three mana value. There's 3 mana value. This could be out cold here, is their plan. Tap and stun 2 of my cards. That would probably win them the game. Stops me from attacking for lethal. It's not out cold. 4 mana up. If I attack with everybody, if they have 1 removal spell, they survive, because they kill the Crocodile, and then I only hit them for 5. And I can't deal an extra damage with anything. So I think I need to play it a little safe and just attack with these 2, since I'm already not going to kill them if they have a single removal spell. We might as well go a little bit less all in, but still present lethal. Okay. Yeah, so if I attacked all, I would just be more likely to die. Still put them to 3 instead of putting them to 1. But that's fine. Now I have 2 flying blockers to try to not die here. If they do have an out cold or they top deck an out cold or something, then we go to 1 life. Actually, still not dead on board since we did get to blow up the thinking cap with the necropsy. Okay, now that they hit a candlestick, if they have exactly candlestick and out cold, we're dead. They have exactly enough mana to equip that and cast out cold to tap and stun both of our blockers. That would mean they top decked perfectly either way. Either the out cold was on top or the candlestick was on top. And it looks like they did not top deck perfectly. I imagine I have to play around a +2/+2 combat trick here, like the audacious thing, the 2 mana +2/+2 investigate. They're at 3 life. I guess I keep the 3 power one. I mean, the ability to Nyx Weaver back up a card is very, very nice here. But if I keep the Whipcracker, I have 2 creatures presenting lethal on board. How bad is it to just say, if you have the +2/+2, I'm dead? I mean, it feels pretty bad. I'm gonna go for the chump here. Okay. Mill land, hit land. Is any life loss in my grave now? I could make myself lose life. Could Unscrupulous Agent their last card in hand, but better to just Necropsy and clear out the sprite here. Try to hit for lethal. If I pick up a 2 mana spell, I can play that and the Whipcracker, which is kind of a big deal. But I'd have to take Extract a Confession, and then they could choose their tapped creature. I think it's still worth it. Okay, now a forced chump. Okay. Oh my god, it was the +2/+2 trick. I am tremendously happy that I didn't do the thing. That I didn't let the damage in. We do got to play the Whipcracker here, so we're still presenting lethal next turn, but now they've got card draw to pop off with. That is unfortunate, though. That means I would have just killed them if I took targeted removal to kill the sprite with. Okay, there's the Cold Case Cracker and Consultant. Draw 2 creatures there. Yikes. Seven mana. Play the Onlooker and the Crocodile and draw a card. Okay. Crocodile and Whipcracker now. They have to block this. They probably block with the Cold Case Cracker. Then I can actually blow up their clue for value. Actual value gained, because they don't have the mana for this one. And I've already got my reach creature for the sprite. No, please, miss. It lands, please. Well, we're dead if we don't hit something. I'm down to 2 now, and they're going to have 3 attackers against 2 blockers. And they can make all of them at least 2 power. No! My opponent was supposed to hit the land arena. Well, what are you going to do? We had 1 chance at lethal, and that was picking up Necropsy to kill the 1 blocker, but I wanted to play it a little safer in case they did have like a removal spell. Really make sure they couldn't kill me on the crackback by making sure I had the mana up to play my own Whipcracker. So obviously in hindsight it ended up being the wrong play, but I think it was reasonable with the information we had at the time. Massive bummer though. What are you gonna do? 0-1 it is. Here we are on the play for game number 2. Solid little hand here. We don't have much alternate to do here, so we kind of have to just curve out with the Whipcracker, since we don't have another 2-drop like we had last time, where I could just Unscrupulous Agent there. Well, we're going to have all the evidence in the world for this Polygraph Orb. It is a mirror match here, green-black versus green-black. Land Whipcracker. Right. Trade off into the Whipcracker. They're down to 15. Fortunately, nothing to do this turn. Because Orb is expansive. 3 mana, another disguise card, potentially. Yep. You got it. Weaver, actually a pretty good stat line against a bunch of 3 mana 2/2s. I don't feel a need to extract a Confession right now. It's much less mana efficient than just playing Orb here. The best 2 cards to our hand, which is Creeper, Roots. Roots is actually one of the best cards here, yeah. Because we have the Orb on board. Start doing Insidious Roots combo things. Ooh. Killer Among Us. 4/4 and 2 1/1s it is. One mana off from getting the plant. Oh wait, no, this is only 2 mana to do. I thought this was 3 mana to do, so I can do this twice, right? I can get 2 plants here? Alright, well, let's go. Let's go. Extract their face down. We need 6 mana value. 4, 5, 6. Boom. Get a plant. We Polygraph Orb them, get a plant. Like, this is instant speed, though, isn't it? It is instant speed. And Insidious Roots is also instant speed, so I guess we just do that on blocks. Later. Then we're going to have a 2-3 and a 1-2 on blocks. Alright, well, it was the merfolk all along. The morefolk. Down to 14. Hard-hitting question. Well, that's annoying. Goodbye, Nyx Weaver. Vitsugazi Inspector, 2-4 reach. Gain 2. Alright, now we orb. Goodbye, Nyx Weaver. You failed me. They're gonna discard a swamp. Ooh, flyer. 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. 3 to play, 2 to flip, and 2 to orb. That's perfect mana. Actually, because the plants can do a mana of any color, can also put the creeper face down and still do everything. Right? I'm actually 1 mana off. 2 to orb, 2 to flip that, but I can flip this next turn after it's lost summoning sickness, so this is still fine. Okay, I can make it a 3-4 and a 2-3. So, not attacking yet. Actually, I think I am, because they don't kill any of these super easily. No, they could block the 2-3 with a 1-1 and a 2-4. Yeah, we wait a turn. Wait 1 turn. I guess maybe I should still orb during my turns. They can't just discard another land. Instead of taking the 3 damage. 1, 2, 3, and there's a creature in that 3. Perfect. Trade a 3-4 for a 4-4. They actually did take the damage here, so apparently they just drew something good anyway. It's a murder. Well, that is something good as well. Just murder the reach creature immediately. I don't hate that. Depends on what the face down is, I guess, but there's a considerable clock in the sky. I think I do this before they draw cards, so they have less options. Do it right this time. Do the 1-drop and the 3 so that I could get two more roots triggers potentially if anything falls in my grave. I exile the Whipcracker and whatever else is in there. Another Inspector off the top. Well, that's bad for me. Moroi no longer getting in. Got enough beef that if this isn't big, then we are still sort of getting in. I mean, worst case scenario, Moroi ends up in grave and I can orb again, which is nice. Okay. This looks great for me. They go to 3, they have to sacrifice their only card on board now. To not just be dead. Because they don't have a card in hand to discard. Alright, they're just going to choose to take the 3, fair enough. Polygraph Orb Insidious Roots combo actually does grind out the late game for us that game, so I guess we got one. That's 1 point towards Insidious Roots sometimes being okay. 1-1 it is, heading into game number 3. Here we are on the play for game 3 in desperate need of forests, but we do have 9 in the deck, and we have a 3-mana colorless 2-2 no matter what, and interaction with Extract a Confession against their first threat. I'm gonna keep. And I'm gonna hope. 3 playable cards if we just hit some swamps So literally any lands in our deck are good draws. Now there's 4 playable cards. Gear Drake, that's going to get confessioned, but they are up in value thanks to the clue token. And we have just drawn non-lands so far, which is not good. And they're curving out 2-drop and a 3-drop. There is the green source. More efficient to play Nyx Weaver, but Whipcracker can guaranteed kill the clue right now since they don't have the mana up. I think I still play the Nyx Weaver, especially with like Insidious Roots here. Filling the graveyard feels good. No case of the Burning Masks. There goes the Nyx Weaver before it does anything. Tremendously rude. I don't appreciate it. Some more mana efficiency. Drop a Mortipede. Again, I doubt they are sacking the clue at this point in the game. Probably have other stuff to do. Maybe not. Alright, well they are sacking the clue. So I don't know what's in their hand if they have 5 cards but nothing better to do for 4 mana. Oh, it could be 3-drop plus clue sack. That's solid. When more creatures leave our grave, we have no way to do that right now, so that does not attack in well. Just play an Eavesdropper then. Out Cold, busted card. I've cast a lot of Out Colds in the first week of the format. I think I drafted blue almost every draft. Blue-white and green-blue and another blue-white deck. And we're probably just getting rolled at this point. Don't have the mana to play 2 blockers. I guess I can Whipcracker, kill the clue, and have a blocker for the 1/1 Thopter, and I can also sack our clue. It's probably as good as it's going to get over here right now. I guess I could kill the flyer as well, but at the 3/2 on board, I'm going to kill the clue. Yikes. Double case of the Burning Masks, and now they're both going to flip if they need to. Even more removal? Yeah. That's loaded. Alright, well. I did keep a hand that had some risks of missing mana. We only missed the mana for like 1 turn, but our opponent just had a curve out kind of hand here. Tons of threats, multiple removal spells that also draw them a card. We're looking very dead. To the point where I don't even think I attack with Mortipede unless I got the trigger to give it lifelink, then it would be worth it, but I think I need to play around more removal. Ah, best bomb rare in the format. I mean, there's a lot of really absurd bomb rares, but Cryptic Code is certainly one of them. They just get a 2/2 and a 3/2 unblockable, and if I ever kill the 3/2 unblockable, they just put it back in their hand, make another 3/2 unblockable. It's just completely unbeatable. Yeah. I mean, I could blow it up if I make it to 6 mana, but we're not going to make it that far. Plus, they can just hold up double blue. They could hold up 1 and a blue by the time I'd get anywhere near 6 mana. Easily. Yeah, whatever. Let's just go through the motions quick here. I'm just going to slam things down until I die. They now have a Cryptic Coat, Unbeatable Bomber, plus still draw 2 on board with double case. Bounce the Mortipede. And we have no idea what these cloaked cards are, so they could flip up into something that kills us. Just gotta block everybody. And here goes the card draw. Grab the best card of the top 3 and cast it. Technician likely. Technician it is. The board state is incredibly wide. Well, 2 blockers up, go to 1 life. Guess that's as close as we get. Trade into Technician and bounce off the face down again. Go to 1. Crack the case, and they find a combat trick, so we're dead. They can just use this on the unblockable creature. They also have Lost in the Maze to tap our whole board. Might as well just find multiple ways to lethal us. It is 1 and 2 heading into game 4. Definitely a risky mulligan there, but kind of unbeatable stuff from our opponent. The curve out with one of the least beatable rares in the format. Here we are for game number 4 with a full defensive hand. Hope for the best here. This could be a problem. I mean, in almost any limited format, if your opponent goes 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, you're gonna die. This hand is really gonna die if they do that. They have started with a 1-mana menacing haste threat that can make another one of their creatures later a menacing threat as well. They are the Boros Aggro Menace. They didn't hit a 2-mana play at the very least. But that is the strongest aggro deck in the format, which is pretty bad for us. Our deck is definitely much slower than theirs will be. We're gonna have to wait on Extract until we have the evidence to use it. Just gonna kill a goat right now. Yeah, we choose the Crocodile here because that trades off on the ground, and then we have 6 mana value engrave. We could do the Creeper as well. It doesn't really matter too much either way. They would both give us enough evidence for future Extracted Confessions. Alright, snap block. They get to flip their Dog Walker and get a bunch of 1/1 dogs. But it'll still trade. Or their Gadget Technician. I guess the worst would be the 3/2. That makes it 2/2 when it dies, but we'd still need to just trade for that here. It is indeed the Dog Walker. Now they have even more just perfect things to sacrifice to the Extracted Confession. Moderately stable here. I mean, the board state itself is stable, but there's a lot of cards that they could have, like the +2/+1 to everybody, that would just roll right over us. That certainly looks like that. I don't think there's any good blocks I can do against that. Guess that would be the best block against +2/+1 to the whole board. Because they only kill one of these two, but I still kill the Scapegoat. If they have multiple combat tricks in their hand and they have +2/+1 and like the +3/+0 first strike trick, now they just get to do the +3/+0 first strike instead or something. But I'm just going to play around +2/+1 to everybody because that is the most frequent for this deck. Perfect. Yeah, this is our best block against that. Man, they had a shock to go with it too. And they're down to 2 cards in hand. The game's certainly not over. And there's a flyer that also exiles our Onlooker, which is really annoying. And all the mana value for the Confession. That is uncool. Well, here's the Undercity Eliminator, though. Exile the tracker out of the sky by sacking our clue. Have 2 3/3s to block their 2 1/1s on the ground. Feels like the play. 11 life? I kind of feel like I can afford to just send in for 3 here at 11. As long as I've got 1 blocker up, it's just 2 1/1s, even with on the job. Okay. We have found a murder target. That Karlov watchdog needs to be murdered. Can't afford to play anything else this turn but murder if I do this, but it is so worth it. So they don't buff the whole board with +1/+1. Attack in, they double block here now. I don't honestly really care if they do that, because they don't get the clue if they double block. The only way they get the clue is if they just chump with just the 2/1. Alright, they're down to 14. I mean, a second copy of On the Job is getting worse and worse for us now that they have 3 creatures. And they have a second copy. Why not? Well. Ooh, they don't. It's the first trick. Okay. That's not as bad. Still not exactly good, but... Oh, stop drawing threats, please. I am back into the begging mode. No more attacks for the rest of this game. Basically, now that we are below 10 life, attacks are very risky. Well, just combat trick into combat trick into combat trick are the draws. This could be the 5/4 that gives something +2/+0. That would be an absolute nightmare. I have no way to kill it on blocks. If it's like Dog Walker or anything else, we gotta just throw a 3/3 there. Yeah, I mean, we have to kind of just do this. Please do not be Offender at Large, the 5/4 body. Ooh, okay, Shady Informant's also pretty bad. I guess they're down to just a dog, and we have no board anymore. So no board versus a dog. Yeah, it's not as bad as the 5/4 would have been, but it's certainly not ideal. Okay, time to... I really have to extract a confession a dog. I lose 2 if I play this Polygraph Orb, and then I don't play anything else. So I go to 5, and then the dog hits me, and I go to 4. I probably have to just crack the clue here, and if I don't have anything else, I have to confess the dog. Well, there it is. Saddest extract the confession has entered the building. It's really the fact that this shoots me in the face that makes it so I can't really do that while I have no creatures on board. Oh my god, their last card's Felonious Rage to make it a 2/2 because I tried to kill it. The literal best card to have in response to that. At least we find a Soul Enervation now, which is pretty good. I don't remember any hexproof tricks in white that I've seen. There's like a disguise card that can flip up and give hexproof, but I think this should resolve even if I wait till their turn. And then they might play like a big scary haste creature pre-combat. Helix, is it really Helix Shock off the top? I mean, okay. What can you do, honestly? We could have not attacked with a 3/3 earlier in the game and been at a little bit of a higher life pocket, but then I would still have... when I took an extra 3 damage because I attacked early in that game. So I would still have an uncastable Polygraph Orb in my hand, because it's just too risky at that point in the game. They would still have me down to 3 at least. I don't know. I mean, I guess with the perfect plays in hindsight, it was potentially winnable based on what we would have drawn from that point onward and what they would have drawn from that point onward, but I don't think we did anything egregiously bad gameplay-wise there, aside from like one attack that was maybe too aggressive. Yeah, not a lot you can do. Boros aggro is kind of just a steamroller for the 5 sets in a row, basically. The other games, first game was super, super close. That one was a bummer too. Another hindsight play kind of thing where we had 2 options of what to play around. I could have Nyx Weavered back an Urgent Necropsy to try to go for instant lethal or like a murder. I don't remember if we had triple black. I don't think we did. So I think I had to Nyx Weaver back Necropsy to kill their untapped blocker and try to go for the instant lethal. The problem with that play is if the last card in their hand was instant speed removal, then it would have been the much riskier play that probably gets us killed. So I wanted to play around the instant speed removal and instead go for the Extract a Confession, since it was cheap enough to play the Extract and get another blocker up to not die on the crackback. So that was the pivotal play of that game. Because I played around instant speed removal instead of not playing around instant speed removal, we ended up losing the game because they ended up stabilizing from there. Not really stabilizing, just top decking into more flyers to kill us with. They had the time to do that, the time to be alive. Yeah. Again, I don't think it was an egregiously bad play because if they had instant speed removal, I think we were dead if I went for lethal that turn. But obviously, because they top decked into a flyer that stunned one of our creatures, we ended up just dying because we went for that play instead. So one of those plays where it could have killed us for doing it and it could have killed us for not doing it, and unfortunately it killed us for not doing it. So that loss was a bummer. For our second loss, we just got destroyed by one of the best rares in the format with the Cryptic Coat. You can't really do anything about it, unfortunately, so that'll kill us there. And for the final loss, we just get steamrolled by Boros Aggro, as Boros Aggro tends to do. So I thought the deck was pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's a cool build that I think is one of the stronger versions of Golgari, potentially, but we hit some rough matchups early, and that just got our 3 losses out of the way right off the bat. No chance of taking it any farther. So sad stuff there. Really, really sad when a couple lines just don't go in our favor as well. I think the last game we were still pretty likely to lose, even if I didn't attack with our 3-3 earlier in the game. But our very, very first loss, we 100% just had lethal if we had picked up Necropsy. So we could have been 2-2 right now, maybe take the deck farther with some different plays. It happens though. 1-3 it is. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing more like it, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch account in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.